Hi.
Hi.
This is so wonderful that you're doing this because we need to be educated, us people.
It
So,
matters. It turns out that when you know what's going on, you can actually change and affect it.
absolutely. So, first off, where are we today with COVID-19?
We're not quite where we need to be. I mean, the fact of the matter is, we've seen the pandemic sort of circle the globe, right? It started in Asia, moved through Asia, Europe, North America. Now we're seeing huge spikes in Latin America, Africa, Southeast Asia. On the positive side, we're seeing the movement together of a sort of coalition for everything that is right of governments, foundations, companies, NGOs, to make sure that a vaccine is available to everyone everywhere. On the downside, we're starting to see some of the evidence of what scientists told us, that if you follow the science and the advice of scientists and medical professionals, this can gradually be brought under more control. If you don't, then we see spikes and surges. And we're seeing that in various countries around the world where there isn't that kind of adherence to science. If we bring it under control in the United States, or you bring it under control in Europe, but you don't bring it under control in other parts of the world, we're going to see that reimportation because people move, right? And the virus goes with them. So it's really the case where we've got to be looking out for our own interests, but understand that our own interests are those of everybody else.
And what are the risks if we don't come together as one world?
One of the things I think this pandemic has shown us, it impacts different people in different communities differently, right? And the greater the ability of a country or a community or an individual to withstand the shock, the better off they're going to be. So we've seen a huge impact in the States on people with less income, on people in communities of color than we have on people with more money who happen to be white. And we're seeing around the world also a uneven impact on women and girls. Part of what we're trying to do is say, let's fight this pandemic, but let's also protect our progress. I think for many of us, again, what we need to do is obvious, and it's a matter of fairness and a belief in our common humanity. If that's not what drives someone, okay, be driven by the numbers and the facts and the business case. And the business case for ensuring, even if the costs, it's going to be billions and billions of dollars to do this global vaccine. Billions is a whole lot less than trillions. And what we know is the longer it takes, the more we bleed economically. And back to where we started, if we don't do that, it's just going to cycle back and we're going to bleed money. It's more effective to invest in making sure vaccines are available everywhere than to extend the life of this pandemic. It's a fact. And the challenge is, Robin, that we're seeing that kind of collaboration among scientists all over the world. They are sharing data, sharing information, so that we always know more today than we did yesterday. Where we've got the gap, quite frankly, is the level of political leadership. So they've got to feel and see and hear that there's a demand and an expectation, and whether they want to do it because it's right and it's just and fair, or they want to do it because it's in our own interest so that we don't get that reimportation. We've got to let them know that's what our expectation is.
Where do we go from here today? When people say, well, what can I do? Well, you can write your local congressperson.
The fact of the matter is, politicians do pay attention when they hear from a lot of people because they know that people vote and they know that people protest. And I think when we actually do those things, sign the petition, send the letters, ask for the meeting, show up, and make very clear, this is what we expect and we're not kidding, it starts to break through. It really does. But it takes constant pressure at scale, and that, we exercise our full rights. Frankly, global leaders have not exactly delivered on this one. We're not where we should be. We're going to have to push harder, though, to get governments to agree that people can't just monopolize all these things everybody in the world needs. I think Africa has actually shown us that if we organize and act as a bloc, you can get enough for everybody. That's what they've done. But we've also got to pressure governments to do the same thing. Because if it's every man for himself, a lot of men and women are going to die. And we're smart enough to do it. We've got the science, we've got the facts, and we've got the experience. What we need to do is mobilize the political will.
Absolutely. We're on your wagon, your one wagon.
Be on the one wagon. We're delighted to have you on the one wagon.
So good talking with you. Thank you for doing this and educating all of us on the global impact this will have.
Thank you so much, Robin. And thanks for everything you do. Bye.